You should recognize Ansel Elgort by now, since he's been a rising star for a number of years and is still young enough to have a lot of appeal left to him and a lot of potential yet to see. Be that as it may, he's put in some truly great performances already and shown his worth a large number of people. His characters tend to be those that kind of fade into the background unless they need to be front and center, as his persona in films tends to be quiet and kind of reserved. It might be that this is his general attitude in real life, or it could be that he's simply mastered this style of acting and is so good at it that filmmakers have picked up on it and decide to push it as far as the style can go. Whatever the case, Ansel is someone that bears watching as the years continue to roll, since he's bound to be someone that takes the reins from the older generation when he really hits his stride. Here are some of the best movies he's been in thus far. Number 5. Carrie. This movie got way too much hate thrown at it for being an updated version of a classic. If anything, this should have been one of those that critics raved about, since it took the old movie idea and created the same film but in a different time period that made sense for those watching. Maybe that's what threw people off. Perhaps they were expecting something different instead of a remake as it was advertised to be. The best thing about this movie is that they didn't really deviate from the source material any more than they had to in order to make it feasible for the audience, who, predictably, were fickle. Number 4. The Billionaire Boys Club. It always comes back to who's conning who and who's doing a better job of it than the other guy. The classic Ponzi scheme is one that people still fall for because they want to believe that they can make millions upon millions of dollars in a quick, easy fashion. The only problem with money that's made that quickly is that it's rarely ever real, and when the check comes due, the person on the paying end usually comes up short and has to either run or pay the piper in a way that they didn't expect and certainly didn't want to contemplate. That's kind of what happened in this real-life story, as a group of young men in the 80s were hung out to dry. Number 3. Divergent. When you're part of the system, they know they can control you. But when you're a product of the system that lies outside their reach, you become a threat and a very real danger to the operation of the status quo. This makes people nervous, it makes them paranoid, and those in charge of the general populace don't like loose ends that they can't control, so it becomes a necessity to weed out those pockets of unrest and silence them before others find out and begin the natural gravitation towards someone that might be able to challenge the system and everything it stands for. It's a dangerous game to play, but it's one that occurs quite naturally from time to time in the world. Number 2. Baby Driver. There are a lot of driving movies that are absolutely impressive and fun to watch, and this one is no different, save that Baby is a bit an oddity since he has tinnitus and is therefore forever hearing a ringing in his ears that he can only drown out by listening to music all the time. You would think this would get in the way of his job, since he needs to know every little detail concerning a heist so that he's there on time, knows what route to take, and what to expect. But despite that little handicap, he's one of the best drivers around and doesn't need to be told twice what's expected of him or how to do his job. Number 1. The Fault in Our Stars. Hazel and Augustus seemed destined to meet one another, and it could be fate or it could just be dumb luck, but it's something all the same. They're survivors, that much is obvious, but they're also individuals that want to believe that there's something worthy about loving another person when the knowledge of the void that lies just beyond their ever-shortening lives is waiting for them. Bleak as it might seem to be living with a death sentence at such a young age, it also tends to heighten one's sense of romanticism and bestows a vast importance of what life really means upon a person. One wants to think that there should be something worth living for when they know they won't be here for long. Ansel has made a legacy for himself already, now he just has to live up to it. So far he's doing just fine up to it.